gang violence and other kind of violence.
Get away! I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. We're learning of planned vigils to honor the Beaverton nurse found murdered last week. Police are still asking for help in the investigation. Here to break it all down is Fox 12's Julia Lopez.
A growing memorial behind me at Melissa Jubane's apartment complex shows just how many lives she's touched. And we're sure to hear more stories of her impact at a community vigil tomorrow. In the meantime, police tell us they're still seeking tips after the arrest of Bryce Schubert, Jubane's neighbor. Here's what we know so far. Not even 2 weeks after Melissa Jubane's Hawaii wedding, her neighbor was arrested for her murder. On August 24th.
Wow. So you have this young Asian woman who was apparently she was engaged, and she was not killed by her spouse, but a neighbor who was obsessed with her, stalking her. This is scary, and any woman who's living alone definitely needs to own a firearm for protection, because people are noticing you going in and out of your apartment, what time you pull up, what time you coming home, and they are tracking you. Now, the culprit in this case, we're going to find out very shortly, but I don't think we're going to be surprised.
A wedding, her neighbor was arrested for her murder. On August 24th, 32-year-old Jubane married Brian Lentero, an active duty military member who was stationed in Washington the day she went missing. That was September 4th. At 10:18 a.m., her coworkers at Providence St. Vincent called Beaverton police after Jubane didn't show up to her nursing shift. Family and friends said they couldn't contact her because her phone was off. Police searched her apartment and declared her missing that same afternoon at 3:12. The next day, September 5th, police canvassed the Baseline 158 apartments, where neighbors say Jubane lived on the 5th floor. Police say they've dedicated all resources to finding Jubane. They interview residents and say a bloodhound search yielded no lead.
Wow.
September 6th, 7:30 a.m. was the first community search party around the Beaverton apartments. At a second search party that evening, we heard from Jubane's coworkers.
That it's been a couple of days and no one's heard from her, it's getting more and more concerning.
Just hours later, Beaverton police arrest neighbor Bryce Schubert. He's booked into Washington County Jail in the early morning on September 7th, charged with second-degree murder. Neighbors allege the 27-year-old lived right down the hall. Providence Health told Fox 12 while Schubert never worked with Jubane, he did work at Providence Portland Medical Center from September 2022 to October 2023.
So he used to work at the medical center, and doesn't look like they're showing an image of this guy, which is interesting. So, man, it's just, you never know who you're crossing paths with, and this is such a sad story that I'm sure we're going to figure out more details on coming up here shortly.
Now that police say her remains have been found, a Sunday Mass was held in Jubane's memory at her alma mater, the University of Portland, which said in a statement she exemplified their nursing values and will be missed. Monday evening, a community-wide vigil will be held at Ridgewood View Park by the Oregon Nurses Association from 6 to 8. Beaverton police were not able to provide comment today as this investigation remains ongoing, but they continue to ask for any tips that might help. We have a tip line you can contact on kptv.com. Reporting in Beaverton, Julia Lopez, Fox 12 Oregon.
Today, the 27-year-old accused of killing a Beaverton nurse was back in court. Today, we learned Bryce Schubert is accused of killing Melissa Jubane on Wednesday. That's the day she went missing last week. He was arrested on Friday. He is pleading not guilty and faces several charges, including second-degree murder. Right now, there is no bail.
The moments that we had with Melissa are gifts. Moments filled with laughter, friendship, and joy.
And dozens of people meeting at Ridgewood View Park last night to pay their respects to Providence St. Vincent nurse Melissa Jubane. The Oregon Nurses Association put on that vigil that they say Melissa would have approved of.
I think she would want us to take it and spread the same joy and love and light that she did to everybody else that we can.
And just weeks ago, the 32-year-old married an active duty member of the U.S. Navy who is stationed in Washington state. And Jubane's death is an active investigation. Stay with Point 6 as we continue to learn more about this tragic event.
The man charged with the murder of an Oregon woman with ties to Hawaii was expected to make his first appearance in an Oregon courtroom today. The suspect was a neighbor of Melissa Jubane, who had just married her longtime boyfriend in Hawaii days earlier. Jill Kuramoto reports the community that knew the young woman is still grappling with their loss, with many questions still unanswered.
The attorney for Bryce Schubert today entered the not guilty plea on behalf of his client. Schubert, who Beaverton police say was a neighbor of Melissa Jubane, was arrested and charged Saturday with second-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and second-degree abuse of a corpse. These images of the wedding held on Oahu just days before her disappearance and murder. Jubane had married her longtime boyfriend, Brian Lantero, a local boy from Kalihi who is active duty military stationed in Washington state. His mother spoke with KHON before leaving for Oregon to be by her son's side.
She's very humble. She's pretty. She's smart. She's very intelligent. She's very respectful. She's like a daughter to me. I know. She's very close to me.
This evening, hundreds, many of them her colleagues, are attending a vigil for Jubane, who was a nurse in Oregon. The coordinator telling us tonight's vigil is to honor the beloved woman and provide comfort to her fellow nurses and friends. It follows a mass held Sunday night in her memory at the University of Portland, where Jubane graduated in 2018.
Everybody loved her. She's just the sweetest young woman. We don't even have words, really, to describe sort of the depth of the grief that we feel.
After an extensive 3-day search in Portland, Oregon police confirmed they found Jubane's body, but police have released very few details about the investigation, including what led to the arrest of Schubert. A motion was filed in court to seal the court documents. The 27-year-old suspect, who also was a nurse but did not work at the hospital where Jubane worked, he is being held without bail until his next court date on September 16th. Jill Kuramoto, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
Well, Christine, just a couple of hours ago, the suspect was expected to make his first court appearance, but he did not. Instead, a court-appointed attorney made a plea of not guilty for Schubert, who didn't appear in court. But earlier today, I spoke with a former professor of Melissa's at the University of Portland, who told me she's in disbelief about what happened.
Good afternoon, Judge.
27-year-old Bryce Schubert was scheduled to make his first court appearance on Monday. Instead, a court-appointed attorney entered a not guilty plea for him, and a judge denied bail. Schubert was Jubane's neighbor and is now facing second-degree murder charges. Jubane worked as a nurse at Providence St. Vincent Medical Center. She was reported missing on the morning of September 4th after she didn't report to work, and her body was discovered late last week.
I learned from faculty and alums that she was just a bright student who loved learning.
The dean of the nursing program at the University of Portland says her staff on campus still can't believe what happened.
Well, it was really devastating. I mean, when you think about someone who's an alum, because we're a very close community of University of Portland alums, plus a very close nursing community. When you think about a loss like that, it was devastating and shocking.
September Nelson was one of Melissa's professors when she was going through the nursing program at the University of Portland.
She was always happy. Really, like I have images of her in my brain. Like I remember a specific class that I had with her, and she worked so closely with her colleagues.
Jubane had recently got married, and the one thing that September has been thinking about over the weekend?
It really was devastating, not only as a faculty, like I always have a relationship with my students, and I slip and call them my patients sometimes because that's how I feel like I care for her
family and husband, who were just starting a life together.
Just really thinking about her family and honestly thinking about her and hoping that she is at peace.
Now, Christine, Schubert's also facing additional charges that include kidnapping and the abuse of a corpse. Now, the dean of the nursing program at the University of Portland told me they were working together to come up with a memorial service for Melissa sometime down the road. Now, there is a vigil scheduled for her later on tonight at Ridgewood View Park. That's in the Cedar Hills neighborhood of Beaverton. Back to you.
Tonight we begin with the Beaverton case that has eyes on it from all over the country. 27-year-old Bryce Schubert pleaded not guilty for the murder of 32-year-old nurse Melissa Jubane. Today, a grand jury charging Schubert with a new first-degree murder charge. This coming on top of all of his original charges of first-degree kidnapping and second-degree abuse of a corpse. Good evening. Thanks for joining us for K2 News at 11 tonight. I'm Deborah Knapp. K2's Tanvi Verma has been covering the case, and Tanvi, this indictment changed today, right before Schubert's arraignment.
Yeah, it sure did. A grand jury bumped up his initial second-degree murder charge to a first-degree, which generally carries greater punishment. Today, he appeared in court on Zoom through what appeared to be a slit in his cell. First, let's take you out through we got here.
Melissa Jubane got married in Hawaii. One of her friends tells us it was her dream wedding. On September 4th, she didn't show up for her nursing shift at St. Vincent Medical Center. Her husband hadn't heard from her since 6 a.m. that day. After doing a wellness check, Beaverton police declared her missing at around 3:15 p.m. 2 days later, her friends were leading search parties.
Time is very critical right now.
It wasn't just friends and family who were searching for Jubane high and low. It was also members of the greater Beaverton community.
A BIPOC community, people of color, marginalized groups, especially young women too. It's important to look out for those kind of groups.
While people continued their search, Beaverton police made a massive break in the investigation, finding Jubane's remains. They arrested her 27-year-old neighbor, Bryce Schubert. Schubert was once a nurse at Portland.
So you got a little image of him here. Not a very good picture. Top of his head is kind of cut off. You can see his face through this slit in his cell, but he completely crashed out. White male, looks mid to early 20s, completely crashed out, stalking this young Asian woman, following her to and from work, tracking her movements, and then he struck. Definitely interested to see a cause of death, what he actually did. But man, this is horrible.
In Providence for about a year. On September 9th, he was indicted for second-degree murder, first-degree kidnapping, and second-degree abuse of a corpse. Also that day, hundreds of community members held a vigil for Jubane.
Schubert's next court appearance is October 15th. As of now, the probable cause affidavit remains sealed. The district attorney's office tells me this is common for murder cases and for high-profile cases. At the live desk, Tanvi Verma, K2 News.
What's good, Shadow Realm? It's your boy Jenquavius Jackson, and y'all already know I'm demonetized and shadow banned in this bitch. So if you want to contribute, go to the Cash App, the PayPal, the GoFundMe, or join the Patreon. Also, don't forget to visit the merch store for all your favorite BGZM News 17 gear, including our exclusive Trump is a Blood t-shirt. Go fast before they sell out. They are already flying off the shelves, no cap. And remember, these super gremlins are on demon time.
First up, we have new information in the murder trial of a man accused of killing a Providence nurse by the name of Melissa Jubane. Fox 12's Dylan Scott was at the Washington County Courthouse today and brings us the latest.
We learned two new key pieces of information regarding this case on Monday. First and foremost, 27-year-old Bryce Schubert has pleaded not guilty to the murder of Melissa Jubane. And second, the grand jury has upgraded that to a first-degree murder charge as the trial slowly begins to take shape.
I have a very full courtroom here.
On the second floor of a packed Washington County courthouse Monday, small details continue to emerge in the state of Oregon versus Bryce Jonathan Schubert. The 27-year-old accused of murder in the first degree, upgraded from his original charge of murder 2, along with kidnapping in the first degree and abuse of a corpse in the second degree.
Wow. Murder in the first degree, kidnapping in the first degree, and abuse of a corpse. Did this man try to have intercourse with her dead body? These glider gremlins are on demon time.
Relating to the death of 32-year-old Providence St. Vincent nurse Melissa Jubane earlier this month.
State of Oregon versus Bryce Jonathan Schubert.
After almost a 25-minute delay, Schubert was only present virtually, looking through a small cell opening as his lawyer entered a not guilty plea on the 3 charges. The state did not have anything further to add.
Enter a not guilty plea. I asked your staff for a status hearing in 30 days.
Family and friends of both the victim and defendant were too emotional to speak with cameras following the short hearing, which still leaves many questions in the days to come. One lawyer could be heard telling Jubane's representatives that these legal proceedings could last for some time.
I am entering the not guilty plea on your behalf at this time, and we are sending this over for a status hearing.
Still plenty of details to be discovered in the days and weeks to come. Schubert's next court hearing is set for October 15th at 1:30 at the Washington County Courthouse. Dylan Scott, Fox 12 Oregon.
Loved ones, coworkers, neighbors, even strangers coming together to mourn her death tonight. At 6 o'clock, I'm Elizabeth Din.
This has really touched everyone in the community with sadness. I'm Jeff Gianola. That vigil tonight being held at Ridgewood View Park, which is near Providence St. Vincent, where Melissa worked. Ariel Yakabazi live tonight at that vigil. What can you tell us, Ariel?
Yeah, hey guys, I've been here for the last hour and a half, and I'm just going to tell you right now, the community has come out in droves. I've spoke to people who don't even know Melissa or never knew her, but as a nurse, you come together and you support other nurses who have been affected by such a deep sadness and a horrific thing. So I'm going to actually take a step back here. You can see dozens of people, and I mean dozens. You can see people dropping off roses, paying their respects under that picture that we've been seeing all weekend of Melissa Jubane, that nurse in Beaverton. You can see all across this field here, people have shown up to just pay their respects and spend some time reflecting on Melissa. Now, we are going to be speaking with some of her coworkers in the next few minutes, but if you take a look to your right here, you can see even more people are showing up to write in a memory book that the ONA has put together for Melissa. I'm not sure if any of her family are here, but we did speak with some of them over the weekend and briefly chatted with them over the phone. They, of course, don't want to go on camera at this time as they're grieving this horrific loss. But I can tell you, from what I'm told by people who knew Melissa personally, who worked with her on a day-to-day basis through Providence, I can tell you that she was just an amazing person who cared for her patients and cared for the people that she worked with, and it showed in her work. So we'll be here for the rest of the night covering this vigil as it gets underway, and we'll have updates tonight at 10 and 11. Jeff, Liz, back to you.
They came to remember tonight friends, family, and coworkers honoring the life of Melissa Jubane with a vigil after the shocking arrest of a man who was her neighbor, a man now charged with her murder. It is 11 o'clock. I'm Jeff Gianola.
And I'm Elizabeth Din. Melissa's case has shaken so many people, her loved ones, coworkers, those who didn't even know her personally. Ariel Yakabazi was at that vigil for Melissa tonight, where the woman was described as the kind of person who could just light up a room.
Even into the evening hours tonight, there are still dozens of people here paying their respects to a woman who they say was a ray of sunshine in their lives and people they know. As you can see, lots of roses being dropped, people sharing their memories of Melissa, whose life was taken much too soon.
Wow, so you can see how many people love this woman. Very, very endearing ceremony. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. Man, Such a tough loss for the family.
To keep those memories alive in light of this tragedy.
She was there to embrace the woes of the world.
A stand in solidarity.
Heavy hearts, struggling to comprehend the loss of Melissa. To most here, Melissa was a colleague or even a friend.
For a woman whose love was felt by all the lives she touched.
The moments that we had with Melissa are gifts. Moments filled with laughter, friendship, and joy.
Melissa Jubane remembered as someone who brought everyone together, even during the worst of times.
I will never forget the countless steam potlucks we would have on night shifts. Everything from tacos to charcuterie to cereal bars.
Hundreds of people sharing a peaceful moment with a picture that has moved so many in the last few days. A familiar sight as dozens showed up in droves to search for Melissa, who went missing Wednesday. It's a show of support colleagues tell me would have moved her.
She would just kind of probably say, "Oh my gosh, you guys, you didn't need to do all of this."
And a show of support that moves a massive and strong community.
I think she would want us to take it and spread the same joy and love and light that she did to everybody else that we can.
It is very clear there is a lot of love here, and Melissa's memory will continue to live on. You can watch the full story about those memories on KOIN.com. Reporting in Southwest Portland tonight, Ariel Yakabazi, KOIN 6 News.
Tonight, sadly, a tragic update to a case we've been following from the mainland. The search for the wife of an Oahu man has now become a murder investigation. Authorities in Oregon say Melissa Jubane was found dead overnight, the discovery coming just 2 weeks after her husband and her got married here on Oahu's North Shore. Oregon police say they arrested her neighbor and they have charged him with her murder. Nikki Schenfeld has been in touch with the family and brings us the latest.
After a long and stressful 3-day search for 32-year-old Melissa Jubane, a tragic announcement from Beaverton Police at 3 a.m. on Saturday, saying they recovered her remains and arrested and charged her neighbor, 27-year-old Bryce Jonathan Schubert, for murder. Washington native Jubane had been dating Brian Lantero from Kalihi for a decade. Relatives say the two would fly back and forth to see one another. His mom says Melissa loved Hawaii. This is where they first met, where they got engaged, and where they got married just 2 weeks ago. She says her son is completely destroyed and devastated and has asked her to fly to Oregon to be by his side. His siblings and dad are already there with Melissa's family too. We spoke with Brian's mom earlier this week, and she says the last time Brian heard from Melissa was early Wednesday morning. When she didn't show up for work that day, police were asked to do a welfare check.
There's no Melissa. Her badge, his wallet, and her keys are missing. And her. But the car is still parked in the parking garage.
Beaverton police searched the area and friends started their own search on Friday.
I miss her. I'm so happy that Brian met her. I told Brian that please always love her. And they were happy, We're very happy.
She says Melissa had plans to find a job in Washington State to be closer to her husband, who works in Bremerton. Washington County Sheriff's Office says Schubert is expected in court on Monday. Nikki Schenfeld, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
So it is what it is.